Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host Divyanshu Pandey, and it gives me a great pleasure to invite you to our session, a very special session where we would be touching upon very crucial lines. The world has already celebrated 124 years of return of Swami Vivekananda, the first ambassador to the West. Today we have someone who will tell us what psychology is, how important emotional health becomes in the contemporary time, and how it is important to address it to become more sensitive and healthy citizens. Earlier, we had a critical argument with thinking, social, and emotional skills, and we had employed people from academics, officers, philanthropists, etc. Today, I have my mentor with me, somebody who has taught me when I was a child in school, Mr. Sunil Kumar Gupta. He's a psychologist, he's a psychology teacher, and he has given his crucial time to us to tell us how important mental health is. But, sir, before asking anything to you, let me ask you something very fundamental. What is mental health? Like, it has become a buzzword in 21st century. Like, all the Gen Z talks about mental health, and it is important to be emotionally upright, emotionally fit. But what actually is mental health? What actually uh, entails mental health? How can we identify if somebody is, doing good enough emotionally, or if somebody is going through an emotional background? So,
Thank you so much, and a very good evening to everybody who's present here. And special thanks to Divyanshu and Srivarsha for inviting me. So, the discussion of mental health, it's not new. Okay. As of now, we know that a lot of buzz is being created about mental health, but let me tell you that the history of scientific understanding of health is not very old. Okay. As we know that humans have emotions. Okay. And these emotions keep on fluctuating from one pole to another. Let's understand if my hand is the state of mind. Okay. Please assume my watch as the neutral point, and this is the pole of happiness. This is the pole of sadness. Okay. The tendency of human beings is to keep on dwelling between these two poles. At times we are little happy, at times we are little sad, at times we are so much happy, at times we are so much sad. Okay, so this is common human nature that we keep on dwelling between these two poles. Problem exists when we are attached to one pole for a longer period of time. Okay, it becomes one of the aspects of mood disorders, which indeed is a great great platform in terms of understanding mental health. Okay, why I'm saying this? Because mental health is the state of subjective well-being, and it's not only here in our psyche. Okay, it's not only in the cognition. It reflects in our social understanding, it reflects in our emotional perception, it reflects in our spiritual existence. Okay, so WHO, World Health Organization, also defines health with these terms, that it is the state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, she or he can cope with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and fruitfully. Okay, so this is the basic meaning of mental health. Uh, Divyanshu.
so this brings me to another argument that I have often realized. I have myself been a student of sociology, and when I read polity in my college now, I am able to join the dots. Mental health or emotional well-being has now become a best buzzword. Like, there's a movement across the globe, be it in the corporates, be it in the government sector, be it in the households, even like from a child to an adult. Everybody is talking about the importance of mental health. What brings me what what forces me to ask you this question is that has the society become a bit more considerate and liberal, and as well as sensitive, while it acknowledges that okay, there can be something that can break down, that can break us emotionally, that can trouble us? Or is it the idea that a lot of us uh, in this contemporary time are going through troubled times, and now we have realized that it's a high time that we need to acknowledge this as something that is very critical? So,
That's a very valid question. See, as I said earlier, the debate of mental health, the arguments about it, it's not new. But the perception of people has changed a lot, specifically during these decades when scientific interventions has happened, specifically after Second World War. You'd be very surprised to know, uh, dear host, that merely 300 years back, when a person used to have any kind of mood disorder or maybe any kind of dissociative disorder or any kind of conversion disorder, what used to be the method of treatment? Have you heard trephine? That means a hole was made in the skull of the patient, just believing that there's an evil spirit who has captured the person's mind and body, and resulting to that, the person is behaving in that manner. Okay, this is popularly known as the concept of witchcraft, which was a reality not just in European country but also across the world in different forms. Only the history of scientific medical science has been the history of 300 years, when we realized that it is not exorcism which can function for alleviating the mental health issues, but it is to understand the person, to understand the client, to understand the patient as a human being. And especially, as I quoted, it has happened after Second World War, because we know that the course of history has seen a lot of disasters during Second World War. A lot of people died. And after that only, the world realized, especially the people who are working in the field of psychiatry, psychology, and medical science, that whatever is happening, that's not enough. Okay. So a patient was treated as a human. Okay, humanitarian approach emerged in psychology and medical science during 50s and 60s. Then only the boom of mental health started. Then only the people started talking about it. And what to say, we are talking in a country where 1 out of 3 person is a victim of depression. Okay, across country, a lot of, it's not just a matter of teenagers, it's not just a matter of youth, a lot of old age people. And nowadays you'd be surprised to know that child depression has also emerged as one of the problems. Yes, this is true that mental health is an old issue, but our perception to deal with it, our perception to handle with these issues, this has taken a new form, which is really really good. Because if we don't understand the reasons, we'll not be able to diagnose it, we'll not be able to resolve this issue. Divyanshu.
So, but will you agree that today, since the world is very competitive, at the same time it is very confusing. So this has somewhere impacted the teens because I see it as a movement that has started from the teen. A teen maybe somewhere in a corner of the world would have initiated it, and it has gathered momentum from this age cadre itself, like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years of children, because they are amid the they are in the process of making their careers, a lot of troubles in their households, a lot of troubles in society, a lot of troubles with friends. So do you agree that this competition and this confusion has somewhere affected the teens, and what can be the solution to at least minimize it, because it is something which is clinical, which needs diagnosis, and which needs careful consideration. It cannot be treated amid the four households through a home remedy. It is something scientific that needs a scientific temperament as a remedy. So what can be done to reduce or to actually prevent and protect the children from getting into such a vicious cycle of disturbance?
Oh, that's a very valid question, and I can see also in the comment that a relatable question has come. That what are the measures through which we can improve the state of mental health? Okay, there are multiple things, but in reality, what happens? People assume that okay, these things are just bookish talks. It's not gonna be implemented. Okay, first of all, if I have to categorize the solutions, the first one I would like to speak, that is about focusing on life skills. Few days back, I was listening to the interview of Mr. Javed Akhtar, and he was simply quoting one thing, that for few decades, we have only told our children, our generations, to study those subjects, to make career in those things which can provide them employment, which can provide them money, so that they can purchase luxurious items, maybe things for comfort. But probably in this process we forgot to tell them to study about literature, to study about shero shairi, to study about poetry, to study about nature, to study about inter you know interdisciplinary aspects of different subjects, and also to maintain interpersonal relationships. Divyanshu, few years back, there was a study in Harvard University, which is very famous with this noun, Harvard Study on Happiness. A lot of individuals, they were kept in constant observation to find out just one thing, that what is the source of happiness. Okay. So this study continued more than 4 decades, and ultimately the solution was, it was not money, it was not bungalow, it was nothing materialistic, but it was the close relationship. If I am having good interpersonal relationships around me, so they work as the social support system, okay, with whom I can ventilate my emotions, right? So the first thing was to establish a good social support system. And how can we do that? See, we all know that the reasons of mental health start with very tiny word. That word is stress. Okay, and yes, I'm talking about distress, I'm talking about negative stress which causes problems, right? Suppose we are sitting in a room, there is no window, there is no ventilation. Okay, if there is no window, there is no ventilation, so don't you think that it will be a case of suffocation for us if we spend a good amount of time there? The same happens with our mind. Okay, life is full of hassles, that you agree on this, I everybody agrees on this, right? So someone is having physical issues, someone is having financial issues, someone is having emotional, someone is having family issues, everybody is having certain kind of issues, right? And if those emotions are not ventilated, the process is called catharsis. Okay, so what happens? Layer by layer, layer by layer, layer by layer, layer by layer, all these stresses, keep on just building the magma of the mind. And if it does not get a place to be ventilated, what exactly happens? It erupts like a volcano. Okay, it erupts in the form of a trauma, it erupts in the form of a mental disorder. Okay, so it's very much important that we have some people around us with whom we can share our things, with whom we can share our emotions, and who do not judge us, who love us unconditionally, like parents do, like friends do, like siblings do. Okay, this is the first thing. Second thing is taking a very good care of the physical health, because physical health and mental health, both of them complement each other. Okay, why I'm saying this? Because if our mental health is not okay, what is going to happen? It is negatively going to affect the physical health also. The lethargic body, all the time the mind will be sleepy. There will be no proactiveness. So when we talk about physical health, three things, all the doctors, they keep in mind three things whenever they interact any patient who's having mental issues. Number one, how's your diet, whether it is healthy. Number two, how's your sleep, whether it is adequate. And number three, how do you do exercises? It's not about pulling the weight. It's about, if you have time, do running, swimming, jogging, cycling, or freehand exercise, anything, which these things are important. So second thing, as I said, taking a good care of the physical health. Third, having congruent self concept. Now, before proceeding, I would like to tell what is the meaning of self concept. See, self, the totality of idea about my own existence, right? It's about my positives, it's about my negatives, it's about my potentials, my calibers, and so on, right? So there used to be a psychologist whom I admire so much, Dr. Carl Rogers. He was the founder of humanism in psychology, right? So he simply stated one thing, that the self can be divided into two parts. One is ideal self, one is real self. Okay, now what is ideal self? Ideal self is that aspect of the self which we want to become, which we won't want to look like. Okay, which has at times filters. And real self is that aspect of the self which we actually are with all our positives and negatives. Okay? Problem exists when there is incongruence between these two selves. That means I am somebody and I'm pretending to be someone else. Okay? So what will happen? There will be two things. Number one, the world will consider me as a fake person. It may happen that they do not speak in front of me, but they would be certainly feeling that I'm making a fake personality, pseudo personality. And the second thing is more dangerous. I will have conflict and frustration in my intrinsic world. Why? Because I know that I am pretending to be someone else, right? So before working as a teacher, let me tell you that I used to work in counseling and clinical psychology sectors, and I got to meet so many people who had come for filing divorce cases in the court. You know, you'd be surprised to know that after having 7 years of relationship, a couple got married, and even like after 4 months only, they filed an application for divorce. But the legal procedures, they do not permit to file a divorce in divorce does not happen in just 4 months. So a cooling period is given so that management can be done, right? And in all the cases, we used to hear the same statement, trust me. Now XYZ has changed. Now she is not the one whom I used to love. Now he is not the one whom I used to love. And we used to discuss that why did it happen. Two people got into relationship for 7 years. Okay, they kept on maintaining the ideal self. They were never there in their real self. That's why they did never get the understanding of their core personality. And once they got married, probably the need for achievement was not there. Okay, so as Mirza Ghalib had quoted once, log badalते नहीं ghalib बेपर्दा होते हैं. And the same thing happens in all the relationships. Okay, so it is always advisable, whoever you are, try to maintain your real self. It's like ideal self is like Instagram photo or WhatsApp DP with some filters, and real self is like Aadhaar card photo, which has no filter at all. So it's better to look like Aadhaar card photo because that will give you intrinsic peace and also the appreciation from the world, because self-esteem is very much important. Okay, this is the third thing. Last but not the least, I would like to tell that have faith. Faith is healer. Okay, it may be towards anybody, it may be towards yourself, it may be towards your parents, it may be towards your friends, it may be towards the param shakti, the god, if you believe in that. Have faith, because if you have faith, the world has witnessed so many victories. Probably all of us know the story of Arunima Sinha, the railway TTE, right? Who was thrown out, from the train, and whose legs were cut completely because of the rail. But ultimately, she promised to climb the Mount Everest, and she did it with her prosthetics. So faith is healer. Thank you, Divyanshu.
So that was really very well said. That was really, really very well said. But so just one thing that I want to know for my knowledge, for my understanding, uh, you are a psychologist. You have also have a good time with sociology as a discipline. So is mental health being going unnoticed in the contemporary Indian society? Because this is very important to ask. 67% of the Indian population still lives in the rural household. We are still an agrarian economy, and over there the definition of taboo has still been quite regimented and structured as compared to the Silicon Valley or the New Delhi, the Bombay, etc., etc. Is mental health going unnoticed in the Indian society, especially in the rural domains of the rural areas of the country, rural hinterlands?
Divyanshu, yesterday I was reading the newspaper that it's not official, but very soon India is going to cross China in terms of world's most populous country. That's true. Okay, and we also know this very fact that majority of Indian citizens live in rural India. Okay, this these are the facts. Now another sad aspect is that that we are living in a country where the total number of psychiatrists are just 4,000, plus minus few hundreds, just 4,000. Okay, so for rural India, it's undoubtedly very difficult to get the help in terms of mental health clinics, because all of us know that all the big hospitals are established in big cities. Okay, and also not in every city, but you may in very developed areas only you'll find there would be some mental health hospitals, not everywhere, right? Let me tell you that in rural India, some of the common problems are clinical depression, conversion disorders, okay, dissociative identity disorders, and schizophrenia because of its very much complex financial social conditions. Okay, the reasons vary from case to case, person to person, place to place, but the reality is that a lot of people do not get the medical help which they actually require. Okay, probably all of us know the name of the legendary mathematician of India. Specifically, he belongs to Ara of Bihar, Dr. Vasisht Narayan, who used to teach in Patna University. Unfortunately, he suffered from schizophrenia, and this is the matter of 1970s. Okay, so since he was a very highlighted person, he was a very famous person, so he got admitted into different hospitals, and finally in Kanke, Ranchi. Okay, Rinpas, Ranchi, and for a lot of years the treatment continued. Okay, when he got some recovery, he came home, but after some time also he just escaped. No way, like nobody knew where he is, and finally after so many years he was found as a beggar. Okay, and unfortunately few years back we lost him. Okay, in PMCH Patna only. This is the story of one person who was considered as a legend. Now there are multiple people in my city only, okay, who have different psychiatric issues who do not get the access of it. There are multiple reasons. Number one, lack of the professionals who are working in the field of psychiatry. Number two, lack of resources. You should be knowing this very fact that if you approach a counselor or a clinical psychologist in Bengaluru, Pune, Hyderabad, or Delhi, at least you'll have to pay 1,000 or 2,000 for one session. Now it is not practically possible for the people who live in rural areas. Okay, I'm not saying that they are not having money, but the problem is, number one, the resources are very much limited. Number two, distance matters a lot. As I said, the hospitals are not established in rural areas, not at all, not at all. Number three, lack of awareness. Okay, the belief on local faiths healer, right? It is one of the biggest problems. I think almost every week this news comes that a local faith healer, a tantric, killed a boy, or maybe a very small girl. Okay, and why did it happen? It happened because the family believed on what the tantric want, what the local faith healer was doing. Okay, so lack of awareness indeed is the biggest thing. Okay, then as I said, resources, these things also matter a lot in terms of not getting the adequate help from the psychiatric or medical helps in terms of mental health issues. Divyanshu.
Yes, sir. That was all the information you just gave in just took me back to my, days when I used to study psychology in school, and everything came flashing back how important it is. Every point you made, as understand how relevant it is in today's life, sir. So now narrowing the topic of mental health to your, profession. So you have dealt with education and teaching since in all several years of your experience, sir. So my question to you is like children you deal with in various schools or your own personal experience, they come from various personal backgrounds. There are children with special needs, there are children who come from abusive households without needs with trauma happening. So do you think it is required and possible that each of the student gets a personalized, you know ex- um, personalized teaching experience to cater to their needs? And do you think it is possible when in the context of India's education system?
I wish, I wish whatever you're saying, that happens in India. But yes, I was saying that all the rules and regulations in India in terms of mental health are decided by an act. Okay, the Right of People with Persons with Disability Act. This is the name of the act, which includes 21 types of disability, include mental retardation, include everything, uh, be it congenital anomalies or any kind of disabilities. Rather, we should be using this word spatial ability. Okay, like when we talk about the school system, CBSE has made it compulsory to have a school counselor or educational psychologist in all the schools. But in reality, it does not happen. It's sad but true. And what to say of the state government schools? Like the state government schools keep on struggling. I'm talking about most of the schools, not every school, okay? Most of the state government schools are having issues in terms of their academic staff only. There are vacancies which are not fulfilled. So in this situation, if we can think about having a counselor or a school psychologist, that is just like a dream. So what exactly happens in this scenario? There are needs, there are students who are having a lot of issues, be it emotional issues, adjustment issues, academic issues. It may be different types of it, okay, but those issues are unheard. Those issues are just, they keep on coming to school, they keep on facing hassles, they keep on having issues, but the sad part is that most of the time it's unheard. And the teachers who are having the burden of completing the syllabus, who are having the burden of doing a lot of things, that is another aspect of it. That means we need specialists to hear the issues of mental health. Shiva sir, I would like to tell that for working as a mental health professional, specific training is required. It's exactly as for being a teacher, specific training is required, because we know this very fact that for every profession, knowledge, skills, and experience, these three things matter a lot. Okay, knowledge which has no substitute. It's like a pearl. Okay, and if I ask you, where do we find pearl? So we only find pearl in the oceans, or maybe seas, or maybe deep lakes. If we keep on walking on the beaches, we are not going to get pearls, right? We are only going to get the shells, empty shells, which has nothing. So if we have to get the knowledge, we will have to know the art of diving and swimming inside the ocean, so that we can get the pearl of knowledge, right? The second thing is skill. And if I say skill can be divided into two parts, okay? One is the core skill, two is the soft skills. Core skill is related to the profession, okay? It is the it is the professional skill. For example, I'm a teacher. How good or bad I am in my teaching, this is my core skill. Okay, if I am a doctor, so how good or bad I am in my profession, that is my core skill. Okay, the second aspect is, as I said, soft skills. Soft skills are related to specifically two things: how you communicate, and number two, how you behave. That means your communication skills and your interpersonal skills, right? And the third is experience. Okay, so for being a mental health professional, certain qualifications are required, certain licenses are required, okay, and indeed experience has its own value. Let me tell you one more fact, that in our country there is an organization called Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI. If any person who wants to work in the field of mental health, she or he has to get a license from RCI only. Okay, so and let me add this too. Like there are a lot of professionals who don't have license, they also practice. and it creates a different trouble. Because in the field of psychiatry we quote this, that the best help you can offer to a person suffering from mental health, if you're not aware of the skills, okay, is to refer that person to a professional, so that the problem cannot become worse, right? So it's never recommended to get to those people who have not proper certifications, proper qualification, and proper licenses, right? So, like, summarizing the answer, as a teacher I also wish, uh, in all the schools, in all the institutions, not just schools but colleges and universities, we have the facilities of counselors and psychologists, but sadly it's not available. Shiversha.
Yes, sir. That really helped me to get an idea about how counseling and mental health expert works. But, sir, it's a sad scenario that we don't have, required, psychiatry, clinical counseling experts. But then, sir, in the absence of this, we can't evade the reality. But we need to get help for the people suffering from mental health. So during such a scenario, how do you think teachers or the education system or the people around can help these people to raise awareness about mental health and, help them with the required counseling that they require to for them to vent out and find help? Yes, sir.
For emotional ventilation, one quality is needed, and the quality is being a listener. It's very small thing, but trust me, it's magical. Okay, all of us all the time are having so many contents to deliver. Okay, we always keep on talking, or maybe we want to talk, we want to tell what has happened with us, what has happened with XYZ, right? But how many of us genuinely want to listen without judging the person? It's rare. Okay, if we start having just one habit in our life, probably so many cases of clinical depression, and maybe so many attempts of suicides, they may be prevented if we can have just one habit: being a support system in someone's life, and being a good listener without judging the person, giving that space. Because trust me, you know this is magical. Because, like, it is often said in the field of psychiatry also, that don't suffer in silence. The moment you start speaking, okay, your emotion starts ventilating, and the moment it gets ventilated, you start feeling lighter, right? So if you feel life is sinking, try positive thinking, okay, and speak. It's healer for all of us. It's okay not to be okay all the time, right? Life is like that only. Okay, as I said earlier, that we keep on dwelling between two poles of happiness and sadness, euphoria and melancholia. Okay, and it's for me, it's for you, it's for everybody. Okay, what matters is if we have a good support system in our life. Okay, that matters a lot because it gives us the emotional satisfaction. And the second thing is, if we do something for somebody, right? So this also helps to have positive faith about our personality. I would like to tell you a short story. It's related to one of my favorite historical characters, Gautam Buddha. Okay, once a very like a restless person approached Lord Buddha. He was very much upset, very much disappointed, and he wanted happiness in his life, but he was not getting it. Okay, so he approached Gautam Buddha and asked, Tathagat, I want happiness. So, what Lord Buddha replied, he simply said, remove the first two words. That's it. I want happiness. Okay, the person did not understand. Then Lord Buddha started explaining it. I depicts the ego you have. Okay, that means you're having ego regarding your personality, yourself, and related things. Okay, so if you remove ego, and the second thing is want means desire. Okay, expectations, desire. If you remove ego from your life, if you minimize desire in your life, then what is left? Only happiness. Yes. So These are the positive life lessons, these are the positive life skills one must have in their own life. I am saying this, it does not mean that all the time I'm positive, I'm having positive thinking. It is practically not possible for any person to be happy, to be, smiling all the time. Hassles come in everybody's life. It is the approach which matters a lot. That saying is like that only. गिरते हैं शहसवार ही मैदान जंग में, वो तिफल क्या गिरे जो घुटनों के बल चले. That means if you are having efforts, then only you are going to fall in the battle of life. And your approach matters, what exactly you do after falling. Dr. Kalam had quoted, fail stands for first attempt in learning. I was very small kid during that time, and I said that what Dr. Kalam is quoting, just but like, when I became a teacher, when I got the golden opportunity to talk to so many bright minds like Srivarsa, you and Divyanshi, then I came to realize that he was right. Momentary failure, it's just a matter of time, and that's it. Nobody remembers his or her examination marks, how much, how many marks did you get in class 9th, class 11th. Maybe you remember board final percentage, but if I ask you specifically in which subjects, probably it is going to be difficult. And that's true for everybody, right? But momentary feeling of failure is a big thing that restricts us to think from a larger perspective. Okay. And second thing is overthinking, Shivarsha. And what is that? See, both of you, you all, like both of you just have crossed teenage, the age of adolescence, the age of having so much, Andi Tufan, so much strum and drang. And during these years only, most of the students in school and colleges face problems. They are having emotional, academic, adjustment related problems. Why does it happen? It happens because the development of an individual happens very, very speedily, very rapidly. Okay, a lot of hormonal changes happen. A lot of these biological changes lead to psychological and moral changes. Okay, and at times the individual is not able to cope up with all these fast changes. Consequently, if not provided the right direction, what will happen? Probably it will be, they're in the path of delinquency, or maybe truancy, maybe deviated from the path where the child wants to pursue things. Okay, overthinking is one of the aspects. Now, what is overthinking? It's like, assume that it's 12:30 a.m. You are scrolling IG and you are just seeing memes, you're liking posts, and it's, you're trying to sleep, but नींद नहीं आ रही. Okay, it's 1 now. Now you're feeling thirsty, and you checked your bottle. The bottle is empty. There's no water, and you saw that your parents are working. Okay, and you called your mama. Mama, please give me a cup of water. Then mama did not give the water, but she said something. Then you start feeling, yeah, mama didn't give me water. She doesn't love me. Actually, I have no respect at my home. In fact, I don't have any respect in my college also. All the friends make fun of mine. Am I worthy? Should I live? What exactly you need during that time? You just need a cup of water. But what you're thinking? Whether I am worthy. This is called overthinking. Okay? Means it's a magnifying glass when the problems look like very, very bigger. Okay, and the solution is not visible. The basic solution is just remove the glass of the magnification magnifying glass of overthinking. Solution is there only, right? So this approach is very much important. Okay, problems exist in everyone's life, that's true. Somebody's having severe issues, somebody's having profound issues. How do we approach to the problems? This matters a lot. Okay, Shivarsha.
Thank you, sir. You dealt with very sensitive issues that teenagers or anybody deal with. Overthinking is something that is very prevalent, and people don't actually, think about it. They think it's normal, but it's not normal, like you just said. So if we just remove those magnifying glasses, I'm sure we'll find the solution in that. right there, rather than questioning our worth. It happens to all of us, it just gave me a new perspective to overthinking. And yes, sir. The next question I wanted to ask you is, like you just said, in this busy world, people are behind materialistic things, behind achievement. In this, while busy doing this, they forget to have a proper work-life balance. They try to brush off mental health as something, as a phase that will pass away. It is not a big deal. They don't give it as much important as physical health. If a person has a physical illness, he immediately takes action towards it, goes to the hospital or consults. But when the same thing happens with mental health, it's brushed off or it is seen as a taboo. So what are your suggestions to maintain that work life balance and seek help, sir?
Connect to the nature. The first thing, okay, which comes in my mind after listening to your question. Connect to the nature, okay, because Homo sapiens, humans, are primarily those beings who used to be very much closely connected to the nature. But unfortunately, during the process of industrialization, during the processes of capitalistic society, the emergence of capitalistic societies, probably we got detached from the nature. This is the first thing. Okay, like how many of us, you just think from your perspective, how many of us often go to hills or mountains and beaches only in vacations? Do we do it very often? I'm not saying, suppose there's a person who lives in plains or a plateau, so claim that okay, there's no mountain, there's no hill. It may happen, but do we have this tendency to go, and sit beneath a tree, which used to happen? Okay, the fast rapid life has changed a lot in our personal and professional life, and you rightly quoted, Sri Varsha, that in this course of action probably we have forgotten how to connect with the issues of mental health. Okay, so the first thing which is coming in my mind, as I quoted, like connect to the nature. The second thing is, uh, help others to help yourself, because happiness is something which you may feel only in giving. Okay, it may happen that you get 100% marks in your examination, you become the topper of the institution, you get a very good job with 1 crore package. Okay, all the things in which you are gaining, that may give you happiness, but that happiness is going to be momentarily. The moment you start doing something for anybody, okay, the contribution, I'm talking about. If you are a student and if you like teaching, okay, suppose you teach some of the students who belong to unprivileged families, maybe slum colonies, so that sense of satisfaction is going to fulfill you with the sense of happiness, right? So this is one thing. Managing work life balance is really really a big issue. Japan is fastly aging country. All of us know that, almost daily we keep on seeing that people are sleeping in metros or maybe besides the roads. Why is it happening? Because after the Second World War, the financial development of Japan has exponentially grew, and in this course of action, all the people, all, I should not say, majority of the people got inclined towards work, 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 and work, focusing on the professional life. And sadly, this aspect is coming to our country also. Sleeplessness is a big issue, very big issue. Okay, it's not just for old age people, it's not only for mid age people, it is happening even to children. Forget about adolescents, they are having this issue. Why is it happening? Because there is a lot of pressure, the cutthroat competition, the rat race competition, that if you are not a student of IIT, there is no worth of your life. If you do not crack NEET, CLAT, these examinations, nobody will admit you. You will not be considered as a good student. So the pressure which the society is making on the students lives, on the people's life, okay, when they are having very tender heart, that is unmanageable. Okay, and this rat race starts from the this phase only. And the moment after they're 25 years of age, or maybe after 30s, when they go in their professional life, the same thing. This is the target, you have to finish. This is the target, you have to achieve it. And if you're not able to achieve, there is no incentive, there is no bonus, there is no like promotion, there is no increment. So what exactly is happening? Probably we are becoming more and more materialistic, which is cutting us from our roots, from the nature. And these are the problems we have to face during work life balance. So I always say that, like, for survival, I would like to extend this. In economics, I had studied there are three types of needs. My teacher had taught me. The first type of needs are needs for survival. Okay. The second thing is need for comfort, and the third one is need for luxury. Okay. So need for survival is essential. Roti, kapda, makan, food, shelter, house. These things are essential for everybody, and everyone should have it. And for earning those things, everybody should work, undoubtedly. Need for comfort, it varies from person to person. One may be happy in a cooler, one may be happy in an AC, one may be happy in a fan also. It's quite subjective, right? The third thing is need for luxury, means those things which we actually do not require for our existence. We want to amuse ourselves, that's why we do it. Collecting something antiques, having specific kind of materials at home. Okay. Now this question we should ask to ourselves: if we keep on chasing the needs of luxury, is it harming our mental peace? If it is, we should stop. We should stop and rethink, introspect ourselves, whether we are compromising from the quality life. And if the answer is yes, we should stop, and we should be focusing in giving quality time to the family, in giving quality time to ourselves, writing diary, writing blogs. These things are there. Reading poetry. These things provide intrinsic peace to the person. Shivarsha.
Thank you, sir. One final question that I have from my side is, sir, you just mentioned that for mental well-being, having proper interpersonal relationships is very important, and people are lacking them these days. So, what are your personal, I mean, your tips to help build good interpersonal relationships among people?
Having number one, having positive self-image and having no expectation. Few minutes back only I shared the story related to Gautam Buddha, having less expectation. In fact, the philosophy of Buddhism is totally based upon this only, that expectation is the root cause of most of the sorrows, right? If we have less expectations from the society, from the people, okay, probably we will be having more intrinsic peace, which matters a lot, right? And second thing, uh, the first one is having positive self image. The second thing is having less expectation from the society and from others. Positive self image, I had spoken about it, having real self, you know having not maintaining a pseudoism in the in own personality, not having that idealism, just being in practical life. Suppose I'm having the aptitude or caliber, or maybe um, ability to compete at this level. So not having the ambition at that level, you may think that I'm being very old school, but as I said, I'm speaking from the perspective of a teacher, and in my experience I have felt it, that at times people have this expectation. Okay, this is the expectation level, okay, aspiration level, and this is the performance level. What happens, the person wants to clear civil services examination, okay, this is the aspiration, and the performance level is like here only. And in our real life there is no miracle, there is no genie who comes and say, hey Aladdin, come on, I'll take you. It does not happen. Okay, so you can do only two things: either you can minimize the level of your aspiration, or you can increase the level of your performance. If you keep on thinking that being at this level only you'll be able to achieve this, it's not going to happen. So having positive self image is very important. That means being practical, being assertive, okay, being honest to your inner emotions. okay, which includes saying no. If you are busy working in a project and somebody says that, please buddy, do it something for me, those now you're my friend, please do it. If you have to focus on your work, just say no. If that person is your real friend, will understand it, that okay, you are busy, and will not judge you. Okay. Summarizing the answer, Shivarsha, having interpersonal relationships, uh, I meant having those people in life who unconditionally love. Okay, like having more than 1,000 followers on IG, having 5,000 or 4,999 friends on Facebook does not mean interpersonal relationship, right? It means only two or three, and दोस्त एक या दो ही होते हैं, तीन होते हैं, उससे ज्यादा नहीं होते, उससे ज्यादा व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप होता है, ठीक है? So that's true, this is true. It's not just the perspective of a teacher. This has been proven in all the researches. During the pandemic time, the students of my school, they were very much active, including Divyanshu, and he knows it very well. Whenever the students like him demanded something, maybe anything, it was like oxygen or something, any kind of medical equipment, he knows it very well, that how many people approached actually. So, having followers or virtual friends, they are not the social support system. Okay? Because in reality, only one or two people are coming to ask, hey, what is the issue? And only if you are lucky enough, maybe one person will come and do the therapy, will talk to you, will give you time, will not judge you, will just love you unconditionally as she or he used to, will continue the same. Okay? Sure, sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This literally, I believe this interaction mainly for me was an eye opener on many levels. Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
The honor is completely me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, I'm not allowed to say this, and as a prospective interviewer, I should not say this, but this show is a hit. This show is indeed a hit, not only because of the topics that we have got, but because of the level of engagement. I can see on my screen throughout the comments that we are getting, the number of views that we are having. But, sir, before leaving you, there is something that my friend wants to ask. I was speaking to him in the afternoon that I am interviewing a psychologist. He's my teacher, he's my guardian. He has left me with a serious question, which I have never been able to, conclude. But before asking that, I wish to quote a line from my favorite Harry Potter series. One of the character, Ron Weasley, mentions that what's life without a few dragons? And when you were talking about the work life balance, you gave Japan's example, you said that you should introspect and think that, am I actually what I'm chasing? What I'm up to? Is it actually something that will give me happiness, or I am in a mirage? I am stuck in a mirage or a confusion. We need a separate conversation for that, and I will definitely approach you for it. But tell me one thing, sir. How should students, or not only students, how should children, 5 year old, 6 year old, 7 year old, who are not even teenagers, should deal should actually tackle the problems of a troubled childhood, where the parents are getting divorced, where the relationship between parents are not very good, where the family conditions, the upbringing, it's quite noisy, it's disturbing, and it's not a very conducive environment, if I use the technical term. It's not very conducive for the student to grow. How should that child, that very innocent child, 5 year old, 6 year old, 7 year old, look up to it? And because it leaves a mark, it takes a time to move on from something that you really admire, that you really love, and family is an institution that can never be replaced. So you have been a psychologist, you have been into clinical counseling and etc. You have definitely been through the cases like these. How should one, I want you to actually let the parents know where they are going wrong, because in my opinion they are going wrong very badly, in a very bad manner that will affect their children. I want you to leave a message for the parents, and then we can conclude this conversation, sir. I think there can never be a better ending like this.
That's true. Divyanshu, you're very young, but the question is very much mature. It asks about parenting, okay, and which is a crucial issue nowadays. Okay, why is it happening? See, I had quoted the impact of industrialization and rapid capitalism all around the world. Okay. And our own country is not unaffected from it. Okay. Based upon that, a lot of families, a lot of people who migrated from their rural areas, from their villages, let's say 5 decades back or maybe 3 decades back, who settled in tier two or tier three cities, or maybe in metro cities. Okay. Now, the families who are more ambitious, the people who are more ambitious, they are moving towards having nuclear family. That means initially we used to have a big house, you know, Dadaji, Dadiji used to live in that room. Maybe the uncles, auntie used to live in that room. Parents used to live in that room. Children used to live in that room. That means in one campus only, all the family members used to live together. But nowadays, for the sake of high education, quality education, I must say, and indeed employment. These are the two major things. Because of them, people migrate from one place to another. Okay, and because of that, what is happening? The nature of families, it's becoming more and more nuclear. Okay, suppose there is a family where both of the parents are working. Okay, and there is a tiny baby, maybe of 2 years, maybe 3 years. Okay, parents go to work, the child maybe is there in the play school. Okay, and after that, it is the nanny which takes after her or him. Okay, the quality time is not spent with those children. Okay, the quality time does not mean that, okay, I have given a phone to my child, hey, come on, play, or watch the video, YouTube shorts, or kids to, or whatever applications are available. It's not parenting. What is happening, I sincerely understand this perspective that people are busy. Okay, parents don't have much time. Okay, but they should introspect. Their personal ambitions are probably harming the future aspects, the emotional connect of their children. Is in psychology, attachment is a great field of study, and psychologists have researched over it and found that the first touch, you know of parent, of specifically mother, these things, this is magical. That's why you would be knowing that after the delivery, the baby is given to the mother, and the mother keeps the baby, you know like this. Why? So that the baby can have the same physical homeostasis as it used to have when it was in the womb, right? But after spending few months, okay, parents get busy, they do not provide that quality time. Ultimately, what happens? There is an emotional vacuum created in the lives of the small children. Okay, and parents think that, okay, I'm giving the smartphone, I'm giving the tab, I'm giving this toy, that toy, this car, that car, and these materialistic things will compensate the demand of the emotional need, which is impractical thinking. Okay, and few minutes back I had quoted about childhood depression. It was not a matter, it did never happen few decades back, but it is happening right now. Class 3 students, class 4 students are having such issues. They feel lonely. You think a girl in of 8 years, a boy of 7 years start feeling that its childhood has been snatched? Quite unimaginable now, but it is happening. It is happening because of that only. So having positive parenting, having democratic parenting is very much important, where you will give a lot of time, the quality time to the children. And quality time does simply mean talking, giving the confidence, giving the trust, giving the comfort. These things are very much necessary. Divyansh.
Right, sir. I get it. This was a kind request from one of my friend who was quite excited to join, and he is one of our viewers right now. I'm glad he has received his answer from someone who has been a very experienced professional in this field. So I think I really believe that we must have, because you have your conversation gave me an idea on work-life balance and well-being, what to chase, where to stop running, and literally stop chasing and trying to just walk in the calm breeze and enjoying what's around, knowing your true self through nature, finding yourself, identifying yourself, your abilities, etc. So it was a great pleasure to listen to you. Indeed, an honor. And from the Academy, I and Shri Varsha extend our sincere gratitude and respect to you. We wish for your great health. We wish for your great life. And very soon, so sometime we will join in again. We will sit in together for a next conversation on something that has again gone untouched by the critiques of the contemporary time. So we wish you all the best and thank you so much for joining to us, sir. If you have to say anything, kindly.
I have to say thank you so much, and I'm really, really, very, very much elated to see people like you who are talking on this issue, which is often, which often becomes a matter of stigma. Nobody talks about it. Everybody, is bothered about physical health, but actually, very few people, discuss about mental health. Keep in mind, my friend, mental health is not a choice. Recovery is a choice. Okay, so to be healthy as a whole, mental wellness plays a role. We always have to keep in mind that yes, life is full of battles, but you don't need to fight alone. There are people who work in the field of mental health. You should go and approach them, and in case you find that there are people, who are having certain issues related to mental health, you should be helping them to go to those professionals who can help them. So I'm really happy, and I would really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for conducting this session. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, my dear audience, we come to the end of the program. We have the next program lined up soon. You will be notified through our pages on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We have many guests that who have something brilliant to share. And see you soon the next time. Thank you.